The post was titled Eulogy for a Horny Hypocrite. 10 out of 10, no notes. And look, I don't kink shame at all. But the issue here is who this particular eulogy was written about. So unless you're living under a rock or like The Rock, that's a joke on Dwayne Johnson's lack of a political spine, get it? Anyway, either way, you should know by now that Saturday night, Senator Lindsey Graham passed away. He was 71 years old. And by Sunday afternoon, your president, Donald Trump, had ordered every flag in this country lowered to half-mast and was calling him on television one of the greatest people and senators I've ever known. And look, before I go any further, everything you're about to hear in the rest of this story, it's just one person's account. And there are others out there, but this one is focused on the one person who's been out there kind of the loudest, posted right after Graham's death. And this story has not been independently verified, so I want to keep some level of trust here. So I'm not going to get all the way into the tabloid fodder. Trust me, I've got a point to make here. But this starts with a trans author named Jesse James Rose that posted that Graham had paid her years ago when she was a college student for sex in a hotel room while he, Lindsey Graham, wore lingerie. And they titled that post, Eulogy for a Horny Hypocrite. And they're not the first person to say something like this. A gay adult performer made a similar claim back in 2020. And DC insiders reportedly had a nickname for Graham for years, Lady G. And while people can be funny with this, I actually find it very, very sad. Because if any of this is true, I want you to think about the fact that Lindsey Graham spent his entire career as a closeted man voting against the exact community he was allegedly paying in cash in hotel rooms. I mean, look, you do you. I am all for whatever you want to do as a consenting adult. But Lindsey Graham opposed marriage equality. He vowed to talk until he fell over to help kill the Equality Act on the Senate floor. He helped write laws that made sex work more dangerous for the very people he is now being accused of hiring. And on the Human Rights Campaign scorecard, he earned a 0, a flat 0. I mean, is there any real accountability left in a system where a man can build an entire career voting against people while allegedly paying those same people in private? And again, I want to say this clearly because it matters a lot. There is less than nothing wrong with being gay, bisexual, closeted, questioning, whatever you turn out to be. Love who you love, live how you live, and know that I love you for who you are. And again, if you're having trouble, remember you can just dial 988 24 hours a day. And if you need some chosen family that also chooses you back, check out standinpride.org. But the tragedy here is who he chose to be in public and who he voted to hurt in order to protect his secret. And it fits a pattern we've talked about on this show before. A party that will closet its own. It'll silence its own. It'll sacrifice its own as long as it gets to keep kneeling in front of Donald Trump. That's a terrible phrasing there in this story, I know. But that's the other half of this story. It wasn't just his sexuality he allegedly hid. Lindsey Graham did a sudden about-face on Trump that we've talked about, likely hiding his true feelings and his identity just for a taste of more power. Lindsey Graham spent his final years as one of Donald Trump's most loyal defenders, even after calling him back in 2015 that race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot who doesn't represent the party. And as I mentioned on another video, Donald Trump told NBC that he spoke with Lindsey Graham just before he died, and that Graham told him, "We're all set for the Save America Act," that voter suppression bill that Trump has been begging for years. So a man who once told Donald Trump to go to hell spent his last phone call on earth talking up a voter suppression bill.
He was tough, but he was a good man. He was very much in favor of the Save America Act. He called me about that. We were talking about that and some other things, but he just felt tired, but he felt fine.
Look, I'm not here to celebrate anyone's death. I'm not going to do that. That's not who we are on this show. The temptation is there, and I know it's easy, but I'm not going to do it. But I am going to point out that the flags went to half-mast for a great American patriot. And less than 48 hours later, His own alleged community was left asking what exactly they were mourning. Look, you can be respectful of a human and their family, but you still can tell the truth about their hypocrisy. And by the way, independent media like us, we survive because of people like you. Your comments, your shares, your likes, all of it. So take a second, interact with this story for us and for any other outlet that is still willing to report the parts of this story that the official eulogies are leaving out.